My name is Olivia Hart, and for years I thought I understood family. Loyalty, love, showing up when it mattered most. That's what I believed in, until the night my world shifted at my own brother's wedding. It started with something small. At least, it looked small on the surface. The kind of thing most people would brush off. But the truth? It cut so deep that I'll never see my family the same way again. The wedding reception was buzzing. Lights strung across the hall, laughter echoing, glasses clinking. Guests from every corner of our extended family had flown in, and it was supposed to be the happiest night for my brother Ethan and his new wife Rachel. I was proud of them. I had been nothing but supportive, financially, emotionally, in every way I knew how. So when I stepped into the reception line to pick up my badge, I smiled politely at the woman handing them out. But instead of a neatly printed name tag like everyone else, she paused, fumbled, then handed me a flimsy slip of paper. My name wasn't printed. It wasn't engraved. It wasn't even typed. It was scribbled, like an afterthought. Just a piece of paper. That's all it was. But in that moment, it felt like my heart sank straight to the floor. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter. That maybe it was just a mistake, a mix-up. But when I looked around, every single person, distant cousins, family friends, even people I barely recognized, had proper, beautiful badges. Except me. Do you know what it feels like to be erased in front of your own family? To be made invisible in a room where you should feel most at home? I swallowed my pride, tucked the slip of paper into my dress pocket, and pretended it didn't sting. But I noticed. Oh, I noticed. And so did everyone else. The whispers started. A cousin giving me a side glance, a neighbor raising her brow, someone muttering, "That's strange." I smiled through it, my face a mask. But inside, I burned. You see, 3 weeks before the wedding, Ethan and Rachel had asked for help. Weddings are expensive, and though they would never admit it outright, they were strapped for cash. They came to me because I had the means, and because, in their words, "You've always been our safety net." I wrote them a check for $7,500. No hesitation. I didn't ask for repayment. I didn't ask for credit. I wanted them to have the perfect start, the kind of day they could look back on forever without worry. And yet, there I was, standing in front of hundreds of people, reduced to nothing more than a paper badge. Later that evening, while everyone danced and celebrated, I slipped out to the parking lot for air. My heels clicked against the pavement as I walked to my car, and in the quiet, something inside me shifted. I reached into my clutch, pulled out my checkbook copy, and stared at the numbers I had written just weeks earlier. $7,500. For love. For trust. For family. And what had I been given in return? A paper slip. A silent message. You don't matter. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, while the newlyweds were still basking in post-wedding bliss, I called the bank. My voice was calm, steady, but my heart pounded with every word I spoke. Yes, I'd like to cancel a check. The amount is $7,500. By the time Ethan tried to cash it, the check bounced back. My silence had spoken louder than any confrontation ever could. Days later, he called me. His voice was tight, a mix of frustration and disbelief. "Olivia, the check didn't clear." Did something happen? I took a slow breath, letting the pause hang heavy between us. "Something did happen," I said finally. "At your wedding." He was quiet, waiting. I noticed the badges. Everyone had one, except me. "Do you have any idea what that felt like?" "It was just an oversight," he rushed to explain. "The planner must have missed it." "An oversight?" I repeated, my voice sharp now, because it didn't feel like an oversight. It felt intentional. And when you treat me like I don't matter, why should my money matter to you? He stumbled over his words, but I wasn't listening anymore. The decision had already been made. That night, my cousin Mia called. Her voice was low, hesitant, but urgent. "Olivia, I need to tell you something. That badge thing at the wedding, it wasn't an accident." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then whispered. "I overheard Rachel talking to the planner. She told her not to bother printing your badge. Said you'd make do with whatever they gave you." The room spun. My pulse roared in my ears. So it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mix-up. It was deliberate. And not just by Rachel, by Ethan too, Mia added softly. "Your brother signed off on it. He knew." I gripped the phone tighter, my voice barely above a whisper. "He knew?" "Yes," she said. "I'm sorry, Olivia, but you deserve to know the truth." My chest tightened. In that moment, every illusion I'd held about family loyalty shattered. The betrayal wasn't just the paper badge. It wasn't even the money. It was knowing my own brother, the person I trusted most, had chosen to humiliate me. And that was only the beginning. The days that followed were heavy, each one pressing against me like a weight I couldn't shake off. I kept replaying Mia's words in my head. He knew. Ethan knew. And suddenly, everything made sense. The way he brushed me off when I asked about the rehearsal dinner seating. The way Rachel avoided eye contact when I offered to help on the wedding day. It wasn't carelessness. It was choice. I wasn't meant to be celebrated. I was meant to be minimized. I tried to ignore the anger swelling in my chest, but then Rachel called. Her tone was sweet, rehearsed, dripping with the kind of charm people use when they're trying to manipulate you. "Olivia, hi. Just wanted to check in. We noticed the check didn't go through. The bank must have made a mistake, right? Could you resend it? We've got final payments coming up and, well, you know how stressful weddings can be?" I let her finish, then took a breath. My voice was calm but firm. "No, Rachel. The bank didn't make a mistake. I canceled it." The silence on the other end was sharp enough to cut glass. Then, finally, "You canceled it?" "Yes." Her voice rose, incredulous. "But why? After everything we've done to include you." "Include me?" I laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call handing me a slip of paper while every other guest had their names printed in gold? You didn't include me, Rachel. You humiliated me." Her charm cracked, replaced with steel. "It was just a badge. You're being dramatic." "It wasn't just a badge," I said evenly. "It was a message, and I heard it loud and clear." I hung up before she could respond. That night, Ethan came to my house. I wasn't surprised. I'd been expecting him. He didn't knock gently. He pounded, demanding to be heard. When I opened the door, his face was red, his jaw tight. "What the hell is going on, Olivia? Why would you cancel that check? Do you know how much trouble you've caused us?" I stared at him, steady and unflinching. "Do you know how much pain you caused me?" He blinked, caught off guard. "You knew," I said quietly. "You knew about the badge." He shifted, his eyes flicking away. That tiny movement told me everything. "Olivia, it wasn't a big deal." "It was a big deal," I cut in. "You stood there, smiling, while I was humiliated in front of our entire family. And you let it happen." His fists clenched at his sides. "You're blowing this out of proportion." Rachel thought. "Don't you dare blame her," I snapped. "You're my brother? You were supposed to have my back? And instead, you sold me out for appearances." For a long moment, the only sound was the ticking of the clock behind me. Finally, Ethan exhaled, his anger faltering. "We needed the money, Olivia. I thought if you helped us, the rest wouldn't matter." There it was, the truth. I felt my chest tighten, not with sadness, but with clarity. "So that's all I am to you? A wallet with legs?" He opened his mouth to argue, but no words came. I stepped back, my hand tightening on the doorknob. "I canceled the check, Ethan. And I won't be writing another. Not now. Not ever." His eyes widened, disbelief flashing across his face. "You'd really do that to me? To your own brother?" I held his gaze. "You did it to me first." I closed the door before he could respond. For the first time in years, I felt the power shift. And it wasn't about the money. It was about finally refusing to be treated like I didn't matter. The following week was quiet. Too quiet. No texts, no calls, no family dropping by with polite excuses. It was as if I'd been cast out, punished for daring to stand up for myself. But then something unexpected happened. My cousin Mia stopped by. She brought a basket of muffins, the kind she knew I loved. As we sat in my kitchen, she reached across the table and took my hand. "You did the right thing," she said softly. "Everyone saw what happened at the wedding. They just didn't say anything, but you stood up for yourself. And some of us, we needed to see that." Tears pricked my eyes, but this time, they weren't from pain. They were from relief. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't alone. 2 days later, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address, just my name scrawled across the front. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "Olivia, I owe you an apology, not just for the badge, but for everything. I let Rachel convince me that you wouldn't care, that you'd be fine with it. But I knew better, and I stayed silent. That was cowardly. I'm sorry. You were right to cancel the check. We shouldn't have asked you for that much in the first place. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed you to know I regret it. More than anything. Ethan." I read it 3 times, each word sinking in deeper. It didn't erase the betrayal. It didn't erase the pain, but it was a start. And for me, that was enough. Weeks later, I found myself sitting at the same reception hall for another event. But this time, it wasn't family. It was community. Volunteers gathering for a fundraiser. I wore my own badge, my name printed clearly, boldly. And as people greeted me with warmth and respect, I realized something important. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes, family is the people who see you, who honor you, who never let you feel invisible. As I drove home that night, the radio humming softly, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. Not because everything was fixed, not because the past was erased, but because I had finally chosen myself. And that was worth more than any check I could ever write.